In a special message of congratulation to the fighter command, Mr. Churchill says the results they have obtained give us just confidence in the approaching struggle. These are some of the pilots, Canadians, who are daily hurling Spitfire, Hurricane or Defiant into the masses of Nazis continue to be sent against us. Hitler hopes to gain the mastery of the air, but so long as the British Empire breeds men like these, it is Britain who will gain and hold the mastery. The fighter command has already performed wonders, and at every alarm it gains fresh glory. Germany's morning hate in this war takes the form of massed aerial attacks on the defences of London. So this is now a familiar sight and a familiar sound. At regular hours, the Nazi bombers come over, heavily protected by fighters. You can clearly see the Messerschmitts manoeuvring above the bombers. But in spite of the number of Nazi planes, the whole nation has complete confidence in our own fighters, and with good reason. Our Hurricanes and Spitfires, day after day, are breaking up the Nazi formations and shooting down Nazi planes by the score. This, too, is a familiar sound, the sound of a British fighter returning in triumph to its base. Another of the most familiar sights in the country, Nazi planes crashed and broken. Hitler's morning strafe turned to ashes. The German Air Force apparently had instructions to do something about the day, and what it did was to lose 169 planes in mass attacks on British harbours, shipping and aerodromes. Very impressive and threatening they look in the air, bombing a lightship, but when you see them like this, they are not quite as formidable. The occasional balloon falling is witness to the fact that they find a sitting target. Their own hulks on the seashore are witness to the fact that a Hurricane, a Spitfire or an anti-aircraft gun has found a moving mast. Here are a couple of scenes which prove how carefully RAF figures are compiled. The German plane falls into the sea. A Hurricane, either the one who shot him down or another who witnessed the combat, circles over the spot to confirm that the German was a total loss. RAF figures are compiled in this way, with an independent witness besides the pilot who claimed the victory. Fritz comes over looking very perky, but probably feeling quite the reverse, and heads inland. Then anti-aircraft batteries open up on him. And word is sent to those jaunty Hurricane fighters who climb to meet him. The battle is fought above the clouds, but this is how it ends. One more of the 169. Another. And another. 169 in one day. The equivalent of 12 or 14 squadrons. How long can the Nazi Air Force stand such losses, which on August the 15th were in the ratio of 5 to 1? Yet you can see their problem. They must strike now before Britain's output of aircraft becomes overwhelming. We can view all this wreckage, in the Prime Minister's phrase, not without relish. The Boche got just what was coming to him, and on his own day. Hurricanes come home. Our fighters land after a brisk but successful encounter with hit-and-run raiders. Here's a typical scene at one of our fighter bases between battles. These are some of the boys who've already blunted Hitler's air offensive. In due course, they'll stop it altogether. They take it easy between raids, and there's always plenty of sport to be had when there's no serious work to be done in the sky. When the alarm does come, not a second is lost.
Blue section out there.
While the public takes shelter, our fighter pilots take off to destroy the enemy. Air battles over Britain are generally short, and they generally end the same way. The Nazis either run for home or else they're shut down. The result is that our shores and fields have been littered with wreckage. But since the nation is now wholeheartedly anti-litter, the broken planes are tidily collected and added to a growing pile on this 20-acre dump. Thousands of pounds worth of scrap is being recovered here, and so eventually the Nazi bombers may return to Germany in a form the Germans won't appreciate. Anyway, there's the graveyard of Hitler's first blitzkrieg on Britain. The amazing exploits of British fighters fill the nation with pride and gratitude. Each day brings its story of daring and gallant action, of which we have tried to give you the pictures. Usually this has been in the form of wrecked bombers, and on another occasion we showed you shots by camera gun located in a fighter which recorded the actual destruction of the enemy in the air. Now we're going to describe to you how the results are achieved. The success of our pilots is not just automatic. Their skill and the quality of our aircraft have combined brilliantly to evolve certain successful tactics. This following film is intended to show you the process by which that broken bomber was sent hurtling to its doom. The Heinkel 111 bomber, one of the most common types in use for air raids, carries a crew of 5 and mounts 3 guns. One in the nose is used for attacking other planes. That in the rear is a weapon of defense against fighter planes. The gun below is for further protection or machine gunning ground forces. The gap in the Heinkel's field of fire was found to be a vulnerable space covered by none of its guns. This analysis opened up the new technique, and fighter pilots learned to come in along this blind spot in a beam attack. Among fighters, the fastest in the world today is probably the Spitfire. 8 machine guns are spaced along its wings. These are operated by a button under the pilot's finger. The German armor has to suffer a simultaneous stream of fire, which, focusing on a point 250 yards ahead at a rate of 9,600 bullets a minute, can soar through steel plate. Our Spitfire has a top speed of 387 miles an hour. It travels 100 yards in about half a second. This gives it an advantage of about 100 miles an hour over the bomber, which cruises at 220. The extra speed of the British plane enables it to climb 1/3 as fast again as the bomber. Its superiority in actual combat can be gauged from this pilot's report.
Got the signal they were coming over, so I went up taking cover in some big cumulus.
The white line shows the path of the fighter taking cover in cloud and climbing to bring him above the bomber.
When he saw me, he went into a dive. I opened her up to over 350 miles an hour and went after him, overtaking on the side, so I came in on his blind spot and set my sights for the rear gun.
Now the bomber's right in the sights. The pilot presses the button. This stop picture shows how the deadly fire is concentrated on the rear gunner, who is unable to reply. After that, the fighter pilot takes his time and gets onto the bomber's tail. Only the gun in the nose and the gun below are left, showing their limited field of fire. The bomber pilot is unprotected, and the Spitfire finishes the job. And that's the story behind the amazing air exploits of recent weeks. One final thought, don't be confused by lying German claims. The Nazis have always falsified their aviation reports for home consumption. The truth is in the mutilated hulks of German bombers strewn around our coasts and countryside, shattered by brilliant tactics, superb courage, and wonderful machines.